Welcome back to another exciting video, and what we're going to be doing today is rebuilding Randy Rhoads video number 2, part 2. And what we're doing today is we are changing the strings on a Floyd Rose type trim system. I'm not going to do the intonation on this video because I'm going to do that on the next video where we actually go in and set up the guitar. This one is just going to be a string change. So this is part 2. Part 3 will be the setup. Part 4 will be changing out the trim system. Part 5 will be changing out the pots. So we're pretty much going to rebuild this entire guitar. And then after I play it for a while and get things situated, then at that point I'm probably going to pull the frets out and change these over to stainless steel. But on that note, let's get started. All right, as you can see here, we have the beautiful Randy Rhoads bow tie guitar. Absolutely love this thing. This thing's going to be awesome when we get done. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and pull the strings on these. So we're going to start loosening things up here. This should take a 3mm Allen wrench to break these loose. Now this is the very shitty trim system that came with this guitar, because this is one of the Chinese made guitars. And like I think I said in the last video, this is a copy of a copy of a copy of a Floyd Rose. It is not this is not even a shitty Floyd Rose. This is a shitty copy of a shitty Floyd Rose. Let's put it that way. So let's start getting this thing done. Now I'm going to do this one a little different because the way this trim is, this is a floating trim. And this is why I love the trim systems on the Ibanez's so much more than the Floyd's. On an Ibanez, you can take every string off, and even when the system goes all the way down into the cavity, you can still get to the screws that tighten the blocks. On a Floyd, you cannot do that. When I take all these out, this is going to recess all the way down into the guitar. So you've got two options here. You can take all the strings off and let it recess down, and then every time you get your string in and you go to tighten it, you got to bring the trim up so you can screw this in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this string by string to alleviate some of this headache, because I get tired of having to constantly push that in the way. I am using D'Addario strings. I love D'Addario strings. All I use is D'Addario. Been using these dudes for years. They've never let me down. They make a fantastic string, and just really like them. And what we're doing is we're actually taking this down a half a step because that's what my band plays in. So we're going to be tuning this down a half step, and that's why I'm not doing the intonation right now, because I got to do a setup to have it set down a half step. So for this video, we are only putting on the strings. Bada bing, bada boom. So we have a gold one that goes on first. The gold one is the E string. Now what they've done, and what a lot of people do, is they'll cut the string, put the ball end in this side, and then put this end that normally goes to the string tree, put this end in here, and they got the balls up here. I am not doing that because I think that is just dick looking as hell. I cannot stand to look at that with those balls in the end. Drives me absolutely freaking insane looking at that. I've never been a fan of that. So we are not going that route. And again, 3mm. Should probably get out my Craftsman set. Uh-oh, hang on. Are these 3? On this one, this may be a little different here. Let's pull out a 2.5mm, which is going to be very strange if this is a 2.5mm. Well, I can't tell. That one came loose instantly, which is not a good sign. that thing just fell loose like that. This is terrible. And that is why it will be going away. But what I'm doing is I'm getting this prepped. See, this is why I don't like that, because you have that really thick part of the string that goes into the string tree, and I cannot stand that. Besides having to look at those stupid balls. sitting inside there. That drives me insane. And of course, we roll the string, then we wrap the string, and this keeps it nice and tidy and out of my damn way. Terrible, absolutely terrible. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut that thick part off. The strings where they put the ball on, they have that wind in there. We're removing that. And there is the ball. I don't even know what kind of cheap ass strings they got on this. All the ball tips are gold. I don't even know what they got on this damn thing. All right, now we're going to figure out exactly what this is. The nice thing about the Floyds, let me get this off, as opposed to the Ibanez, and I think Ibanez makes a superior tremolo to Floyd Rose. Because the Ibanez's don't stick up here, and that kind of can get in my way sometimes when I'm playing, depending on how I'm holding the guitar. The low pros are flat and low. Fantastic design. If I could get a low pro in here, of course I'd have to route all this out, and I'm not doing that. But I do like the blocks in this system better. They just got these big fat blocks in here. And the Ibanez's use those little skinny ass blocks. And it's real easy, when you're pulling your string out, it's real easy. Let's see if we can pop this block out of here. A lot of times on the Ibanez, when you undo a string, if the string pops loose, it'll pop that block out every time. And that is just a freaking nightmare. And as you can see here, these just have the little square blocks, and these are fantastic. I do like these blocks better than what is in the Ibanez. That's just a better setup all the way around. And getting that back in there is obviously going to be a little bit of an issue. All right, got that seated back in. It's kind of a tight fit getting that back in there. And I'm sure this intonation is destroyed. You can look at these blocks. I don't know if you can see them in the camera, but look how uneven everything is. Now, a lot of times when you set up the intonation, they'll be moved around, but these are moved around quite a bit. So I'm pretty sure this intonation is all over the place. If that's intonated, I would be shocked. Of course, it's not going to be when I get done here. So now we'll be able to see if this is a 2.5 or a 3 millimeter here. Yeah, see, I'm still, because it's so low, I'm still going to have to push this up a little bit. All right, that is obviously a 3 millimeter with a lot of paint inside of it. And like I said, normally I would take all the strings off, and this is how you'd put them back in. Hold this down into the block area, depress the trim system to lift the back out. Yeah, this is a 3, but there's a lot of paint inside these screws. So it's very tight getting that in there. Like I said, it's just a shitty trim system. Now this one's so crappy, I'm not going to tighten that much because chances are it'll strip out. And we definitely don't want that to happen. So now we're just going to go ahead and feed this on into the string tree. Now what I like to do on these is wrap this end, since I don't use the balls, wrap this end around and under, and then kind of pull it over. Then I can grab my little tool here and crank this dude in. And that helps secure that string to that string tree, doing it that way. And this way, I really don't have to worry too much about this slipping here. As you get to the thinner strings, these will want to slip a lot. So I'll show you what I do again, because I don't use the balls down at that end. And I try to keep all the pegs straight up and down, so when I'm using my winder, it doesn't hit the other pegs. So I try to keep them at 90 degrees at all times. So now we're going to pull this A off. Loosen this up. And again, I'm going to depress this down so I don't sit here and just beat the hell out of the body. Yeah, this is a 3 mil, which they're standard, they're 3 millimeters. But like I said, this has got a lot of pain in it, and it was hard to get it in that first one. And even on these blocks will pop out. So even on these, when you're pulling your strings out, I have a habit of putting my finger over the block, and I got into that habit from the Ibanez. Because those Ibanez ones love to pop out when you pull the string out. And then if your luck is like mine, it pops out, hits the table, bounces on the floor 37 times, and it ends up underneath something. It just can't fall straight down where I can get to it. So let's wrap this dude up. And then on the Diodarios, the red ball is, I don't know if you can see that as small as it is. The red ball on the Diodario is the A string. Like I said, I love Diodario strings. I've been using these, well, since I've been playing. Tried the GHS strings. Wasn't really that big of a fan of them. I don't know why. They just didn't seem to, they didn't seem to last as long. And they just didn't feel as good. But they really didn't seem to last as long. Yeah, see, that's all tight going in there. It's a cheap-ass trim system. Man, I'm super worried about stripping that out. This is such a cheap trim on this thing. And what I use, let me grab this, I'll be right back. What I use to keep my strings from going bad, and I am extremely religious about using this stuff. I do not go anywhere without it. Oh, here we go. I'll dig into the bag here. If you don't use this, I highly recommend you do. This is Fast Fret, and it's made by GHS. And this stuff is amazing. This is my lifesaver. Even when I'm playing a show, about every 3 or 4 songs, I lube up my strings. It keeps your strings clean and makes them last a hell of a lot longer. The pisser about this is, this one's a little worn out. I got a new one in there. You used to be able to buy these. I don't know what happened, but you could get about a month out of a can using this religiously. I swear to you, I'm lucky if I get a week and a half out of a can now. That pisses me off. It's like they put a lot less lubricant in it. So GHS, if you ever see this video, please fix that. From somebody who has bought 5,000 cans of that shit over the course of my life. So again, here, I'll get some string, get a little slack on it. I will take this under, I'll go under the string and then bring it back over like this. Makes a loop around this string. And this makes it a lot easier to keep this string in check. And then let's tighten this dude up. Listen to that, listen to that. You may not be able to hear it. Let me get my mic down here. That's music to my ears. This guitar is going to be a tremendous amount of work. I do mean a tremendous amount of work to get it how I want it. All right. So let's remove this one now. Pull this out. Let's wrap the string. Now on the Diodario strings, it's pretty cool. You know, the strings are color coded, and it tells you what all the strings are here. Brass or gold, red, black, green, purple, silver. But once you've used this a million times, you just kind of remember what the colors are, so it makes it a lot easier. putting the strings on, and that's a lot to do with it also, because I change my strings quite often. And another good way to tell is when you get to the middle strings, the D string is the last corded string. It has a core in the middle and it has a wrap. When you get to the G, it is just a core. It no longer has the wrap on it, and you can feel the wrap. So if you sit and look at your strings, if you end up with strings that for some reason aren't labeled or whatever have you, you can figure it out. It's not that hard. So put this in, and what I do is I put it in the seat. You know, these trim systems have a seat, a little groove that comes out. I put it in the seat and then press this down. I go ahead and kind of give it its initial bend. That way it helps me hold it in place. And then screw the block in. Oh, I'm super nervous about doing this because I'm actually going to use this. I'm going to set it up. I'm actually going to play a show with this guitar before I end up putting the trim on. I've decided I'm going to go with the, what I want to go with is a super distortion here and an Air Norton. What Randy had originally was a super distortion and a PAF by DiMarzio. I want the Air Norton up front, and I want the bright white to match this. Here's the caveat. I can find a bright white super distortion. I cannot find a bright white Air Norton. As much as I love DiMarzio, I have called them 3 times, left 3 messages to their sales department, and not one person has called me back. That does not make me happy. If push comes to shove, I will go ahead and get the white here, and I'll put a black here. I do not want cream because the cream doesn't work. They do, however, make these, I haven't seen them, but they make these with a chrome, which would look actually really good on top of this chrome. I didn't think about that till just now. That would look really good. So again, I pull this, I go under the string. I go under the string, pull it tight, and bring it back over the string. I make a loop around that string. And when I pull this tight, that string's not going to move. All right, string number 3. Oh yeah, sounds fantastic. All right. The string tried to break out on me. So now we're doing the G, and like I said, this string is just a core. There's no wrapping on this string. Depress the trim. No. First, we need to loosen this up, because you do not want to pop that off with this tight. Because A, that string's going to come flying out of there at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and chances are it will pop that block out. And that block's going to come popping out, then you get to go on the hunt to find that block. And I have known too many people who have lost that block doing this very thing. And this is a habit I kind of do from my Ibanez, keeping my thumb over this block. I've had those things pop out on me so many times. It just kind of had to rethink how I did things. Look, see, now this is all jacked up and twisted up here. That's why I do not like doing it with these damn balls in the end. And a lot of people do it that way. When I go to the guitar stores, when I'm over there, like a Guitar Center, and there's so-called guitar techs, I see them doing that a lot of times. These strings that are on here, these things are completely rusted. I mean, they're turning black. They're in such bad shape. That's pathetic. That is absolutely pathetic. All right, so right here's our next string. Gonna put it in, line it up with the groove, bend it down, hold it into place, tighten it up. Oh, I don't like the way that feels at all. See, look at that. I can't even get this damn thing back out. There's so much paint inside these screws. All right, let's line this dude up here. Into the string tree, get my appropriate amount of slack. Now on the smaller strings, you're going to want more and more slack to wind up, because the smaller ones, if any of them's going to slip, the smaller you go, the more chances of them slipping. So as I start getting to the smaller strings, I start using a bit more slack. Now these will be changed down. Probably the last thing I do, I'm changing these out to locking tuners, and then I don't even have to deal with this shit anymore. This becomes a totally irrelevant point at that point. So I'll put me a set of Spurzels or something on it. All right, down to the last two strings. Yeah, it actually fit in that one pretty easily. All right, unwind all this shit. See, even with the balls, they got a ton of windings on it, which you don't need to do when you put the balls down at that end. And there's nothing wrong with putting the balls down there. There's nothing wrong with that at all. If that's how you prefer to do it, then by all means do it that way. I prefer the locking tuners. With the locking tuners, you can put it in, pull the string tight, lock it on the bottom, you're done. Tune it and go on with your life. Instead of all this damn twisting. Sorry about that. Allergies are rocking hard this year, man. It's been a bad year for allergies down here in the South. All right, now we're on the B string. So this string is purple. Also my favorite color. Again, we're going to set it in, line it up with the groove, the channel, bend it into place, tighten her up. And the reason I do that is because when you put it in there and you bend it into place, that'll help it center into that channel. And so it won't be off to the side or anything weird like that. Because you want to try to keep this as straight in that channel as you can. Any little thing you do to a guitar that is out of the norm will actually make it harder to intonate. So I try to keep everything as straight and as lined up as I can. And amazingly on this guitar, can't get it in the hole. It's been my life's problem. They did a really good job on this guitar. As you can see, the string trees are straight with the strings. That's actually shockingly important. That's why they have so many problems out of Les Pauls. Because you not only have that slant, but then all the strings shoot off to the side. And that's not what you want in a guitar. You want everything to stay as straight as possible at all times. And if you look at like John Petrucci's and things like that, now on this one here, on this string, I'm going to wrap this one around here twice. If you look at like John Petrucci's and all that, they keep that is, you have straight shots, which is ultimately what you want, to keep everything nice and straight from the trim all the way down to the string tree. And see how it's, even with those two winds on it, it's still slipping. But those two winds, it'll eventually grab and it'll tighten right up. Now we're down to the E string. And again, I press and put my finger over that block. And like I said, I just got in the habit of that from dealing with Ibanez. Those damn blocks have come out of that damn guitar millions of times. And probably just a good habit to get into, just in case you by chance do forget to break it loose up top and you just pull one out of the bottom. It'll keep that block from shooting out of there. So good habit to get into regardless. This string is just completely rusted. This is terrible. Of course, these are 42 to 9s on it. Little thin strings. I use 10s. Even if I'm in standard, I still use 10 strings. Although for the guitar I'm giving away, the 1070 PBZ, if we hit our goal, I actually restrung it back with 9s. So I could get it set up that way, so whoever wins it, chances are it'll be in standard, chances are they'll want 9s. So I went ahead and set that one back up with 9s. If we hit our magic number of 50,000 subscribers, and we got a long time to get there still. Still got 6 months, that's a long time. Like I said, I watched one of the channels that I subscribed to get over 100,000 inside of 30 days. Okay, put it in, line it up, press it down. Oh, hang on. See, it popped down on me. Yeah, this one's wanting to go beside that damn block. That block's getting stuck in there. And that one was wanting to go beside that block. Now generally, God, those are tight. If you have a problem with anything slipping out, it's going to be this one. So usually I'll put this one in and I'll give it a couple of tugs. If it's going to pop out, I want it to pop out right now, not after I cut the string. So I'll tug on that to make sure that it's in there snug enough to where it doesn't pop back out on me. Because one thing I hate is after you get it done, you stretch your strings and it's just barely hanging in there and you don't know that. You cut your strings off at the end and then that damn thing pops out. And now your string is literally the length of this. And at that point, it's pretty hard to get it back in there. And a lot of times you're just going after a new string at that point. All right, so we're going around and over, around and over. And even with that in there, the string will still slip a little bit, but that will catch and hold it into place. And that way you don't have to put those damn balls on the end of it. All right, and that is how you change the strings on a Floyd Rose style trim. I'm not going to tune this yet, simply because I've still got to set the guitar up. And I'm going to tune it. There's no reason to tune it until I start setting it up. I'll get it into tune somewhat, then I'll start adjusting it. Then I'll tune it, adjust it, tune it, adjust it, tune it, set the intonation, tune it, set the intonation. And it's a bit of work going that route. So I'm not even going to tune this guitar yet. I'm going to leave it like it is. Sounds great. Listen. It's music. So I'm going to leave it like it is till I get ready to do the setup. And that's going to be in the next video. And then when I get the pickups in, I'm going to have to take all these strings out, put the pickups in, solder them in, and then restring it again at that point. And I'm going to try to have that done before my show. I got a show on the 10th. And so I'm going to try to have, if I can locate the pickups, I'm going to have it done before then. So tomorrow I will be looking diligently. So I'm going to go ahead and put the locks back in right now and secure everything down. And then go ahead and cut these strings off. Because at this point I'm done with that part. Now I love using gig bags. Because when you're carrying 2, 3, 4 guitars to a show, it's just because I can carry 2 gig bags on each shoulder. It's kind of hard to carry 4 cases on each shoulder. I love gig bags. The problem with gig bags is these strings tear the shit out of your gig bag. So I try to cut this as close to the tree as I possibly can to keep all these little sharp edges as far down there, because man, these things destroy your gig bag. So snip these off right up against the string tree. They're not going to move any. Oh, look at that one. That one's right at that damn winding too. I don't think I've ever had one end up right on top of the winding like that. So snip all these guys off. All right. And there you go. That is how you change strings on a Floyd Rose style guitar. And this is part 2 of rebuilding Randy Rhoads. All right, so that part is done. And like I said, this is part 2, doing the string. Like I said, I'm not gonna set this up yet until I get ready to actually do the setup on the guitar. I wanted to get the string changed first on the Floyd Rose, because I did a video on how to change the strings on an Ibanez style tremolo. So I wanted to get one on a Floyd Rose style tremolo also. And then I will be doing, the next video after this one will be the actual setup of this guitar. So I'm not even going to tune the strings at this point. I'm just going to let it sit till I get ready to get that video started. And then we'll actually start that by tuning the strings and then start moving through the setup process of this particular guitar. The strings on this, the action is crazy high. And the trim is a little offset just a little bit. Now that could be a good setup, I don't know yet. It's a little higher on this side, which it has to be because of the thickness of the E as opposed to the thickness of this E. So that very well could be set correctly. The back of it is flush. I like my tremolos as flush as I can get them on the setup. But like I said in the last video, it's got a crazy amount of relief in it. I mean, it's got a hell of a bow. So hopefully I can just pull the bow out, bring the action down, and hopefully that'll take care of it. Now this nut is a touch on the high side. There is a little bit play here more than there should be. If for some reason I cannot get this set up absolutely perfect, then when I get the new trim system, I'm going to put the new nut on, and if I still have the same issue, I'm going to pull this nut off and I'm going to grind it down. When I do that, I grind it below spec and then I shim it back up how I like it, because you may not shim it evenly because, you know, the strings are different gauges. One side may be a little lower than the other, a little higher. And if I grind it down more than I need and build it back up, I can set it exactly how I want it. And that's normally how I do it on any guitar I have that has this type of nut on it. So on that note, we're going to wrap this one up right there. This was Rebuilding Randy Rhoads Part 2, the string change. Part 3 will be the actual setup of this guitar. And then Part 4 will be the pickups, which hopefully I will have before my show. If not, I'm playing these cheap-ass Chinese pickups. And it is what it is. It's just, I got to play this at the show. It's too cool not to play. So there we have it. This is Rebuilding Randy Rhoads Part 2, the string change. The next video will be Rebuilding Randy Rhoads Part 3, the setup. And remember, this goes for any guitar. It's not just for this particular guitar. How we're going to set this up is same principle for any guitar. So, but since this is the Randy Rhoads, we're just calling it Rebuilding Randy Rhoads. And I think it's a cool last name for a video series. So on that note, please subscribe to the channel. Please click the bell so you'll be able to see other videos coming out of us working on this guitar. And share the video, and because that's going to help us get subscribers. Because if we get the subscribers, then we're giving away the Ibanez 1070 PBZ, my beautiful cerulean blue Ibanez 1070 PBZ. So we got to get going. I want to give this guitar away to somebody. I don't want to do all this work and get close and not hit it. So we got to get going on this. So anybody you know, get them to subscribe, do whatever we got to do to make sure we hit that 50,000 subscribers. And also, last note, I'm getting ready to put my first video back up on my film channel. I actually started this channel 10 years ago. And I worked it for about 3 years, barely. Just stupid crap I was putting on it. And I let it go. I got busy. You know, I just got busy. Life got in the way, jobs got in the way, divorce got in the way. And everything else. So I resurrected that, and I'm actually getting ready to get that one fired back off. I'm actually going to put a link to it in the into the section, because if you are a subscriber to my music channel and you subscribe to my film channel, you actually get 2 entries into the guitar. Keep that in mind. So you might as well subscribe to that, because I got a lot of really cool shit coming up on my film channel. And I'm going to start off with the basics about why I'm switching software, the software I use, why I use it, why there's software I don't use. Then I'll start reviewing cameras, lights, my monitor, my new monitor that I just got here, which I love. Do reviews and stuff like that, kind of like I do on my guitar channel. So until the next time, like the great Billy Joel says, ha, gotcha. Thought I was going to say Sammy Hagar. Like the great Billy Joel says, life is a series of hellos and goodbyes, and I'm afraid it is time for goodbye again. Until the next time we meet, practice that guitar, get your shit in order. If your guitar is not set up correctly, I'm going to show you how to do it in this series right here. So the better your guitar is, the better the setup is, the better player you become. Until the next video, rock on.